What is up, y'all? Happy Friday. Welcome back to another weekly training. And today is for my peeps who have a sweet tooth because, oh boy, this is a big one for me. And sweet tooth is often something that we feel is something that just really derails our progress. And you might have even joined this group and you might have even joined this community for PCC because you saw an ad that I put out that had to do with the fact that you can eat more sugar, eat more sweets, and see better results. And you might have been left wondering, what the heck does this woman mean? There's absolutely no way. Sugar is a devil, sweets are the devil. I look at those and I just gain weight. And there are real reasons why you believe that and why that has been the case for you, but I have an alternative solution that can make your weight loss journey and your life so much more enjoyable and actually get you better results. And so today I'm going to be revealing the secret for your sweet tooth for weight loss so that you can eat your favorite things in moderation, feel like you have self-control around sweets, and be able to enjoy these things while seeing results and losing weight. So if you feel like you're that person who, if you give me an inch, I'll take a mile. And if I have one, I'll have the whole sleeve. And I cannot stop myself and I have no willpower with anything, baked goods, sugar, anything like that. Well, I have some solutions for you. So let's get into it. And I think the most important thing is to explain why. Well, not the most important thing, but one of the most important things getting into it is that this really means a lot to me, to help people change their relationship with food, and specifically foods that we deem as bad, because I was that person. And I still struggle with this from time to time, but I always have to lean on my own principles, practice what I preach, and it always brings me back to a better place. So when I started my fitness journey, I was very much Pinterest. At the time, Tumblr was really hot and like up and coming. And I would just scroll through in magazines and I would scroll through pictures of women who were just stick thin and had lean toned definition in their body, and magazines and all the celebrities were stick thin. And I was like, I have to look like them. I just had this pressure upon myself to look that way. And the way that these women advertised that they ate was essentially like a bird 1,200 calories a day, just salad, just green things, just green juices, Greek yogurt, fruit, vegetables, nothing else. And it was depressing, but I was like, that's what I got to do. And I am a high achiever at heart. I have always just pushed myself to the brink with everything that I've ever done. And so that's what I did. I downloaded my Fitness Pal. I ate 1,200 calories a day. I ran every day to the point where my shin splints were unbearable. I ate just salads and the low carb version of everything, and did incorporate protein. That was one thing that I did get right. I did have a decent amount of protein per day, but it was still according to my Fitness Pal's calculations and it was a little low. But I was eating tons of fruits and vegetables and I was losing weight. However, I was massively restricting and massively over exercising. And where it really kicked me in the butt was basically multiple nights per week. It was it was every other night that I had cravings. It was every time I went out to eat. It was every time, and I was in school at the time, it was every time that we had a someone bring in donuts or brownies, and for some reason it was just a lot that was happening. And so people would bring in sweets to school and I would just gorge myself, because when I took an inch I took a mile, and or when I was given an inch I took a mile. And I justified it because I was an athlete. I played volleyball and I was constantly very active. We had practice for multiple hours a day. I was running on top of that. I was doing the Insanity DVDs and P90X DVDs at home as well on top of all that. And so I was like, oh, train really hard today. I deserve it, was what I would tell myself, what I would tell others. And I would eat and eat and eat. And I even developed a reputation for being able to put down a lot of food in social settings. But what people didn't know was this was a symptom to a very large problem where I, at home, would even sneak food into my room and I would eat it in secret until I felt overly stuffed, beyond the point of fullness to the point of feeling like near having to go the opposite direction. And it was an incredibly shameful cycle that I was in. It was something that happened for, multiple nights per week for years. And it was okay, as soon as I had kind of finished my blackout moment of, okay, I ate everything, I feel awful about myself. How am I going to make up for this? So I would plan out my running route for the next day, how I would burn off the calories. I would literally plug in all the calories that I ate. It'd be in the 3,000s for the day. And I'd be like, okay, well, if I want to burn that off over the next 4 days, I need to run this amount on the treadmill, this amount with this amount with that. And I would plan my punishments and I would do that. And only a couple days would go by and I wouldn't have even burned off all of the excess calories. And I would falter again, whether it was chocolate, peanut butter, cookies, whatever it was. And I had a horrible relationship with those foods, with myself. And it wasn't until I actually honestly hired some guidance that it brought me out of that, because I was trying to self-correct with some of the information I found online where they're saying raise your calories, strength train, don't do so much cardio. And I loved the ethos of it. And I was like, that's awesome. Other people can achieve that, but I can't because my metabolism's broken and I just don't have any willpower. So I told myself those things and I stayed stuck until I had a coach really walk me through how is that actually supposed to look and being able to trust in the process. And so I say that now I eat roughly 2,000 calories per day and I don't have massive cravings. I haven't binged like that in years. I've definitely overeaten plenty of times, but like some of that is like a conscious choice. Like I just, we went to Korean barbecue. I kind of want to overeat. But I make the choices that are aligned with my goals, my values. So I don't have this massive guilt spiral after. I don't feel like I have to make up for it. And most of all, I'm not sacrificing my progress when I do overeat because I know that everything else I'm doing 90% of the time is moving me in the right direction. And so I do enjoy desserts most nights of the week. There was a stint where we have these cookies at the grocery store local to us right now that we had at our wedding, and I love them. They're my favorite. And I literally ate one every single night, and they're like 400-calorie cookies every single night for months. And I was seeing the progress that I wanted to see. So you can absolutely make progress and fulfill your sweet tooth, but making up for what you eat by burning calories and restricting is not the answer. And so the real reason that you struggle to lose weight with your sweet tooth is because what derails you every time is not the sweets themselves. And this is what I had to learn, was that it was my all or nothing thinking. It was the restricting and overindulging pattern that I was perpetuating with the way that I was thinking about these things. And so I was basically conditioned by the internet, social media, diet culture, whatever you want to call it, to believe that sweets are bad. And that's kind of where it started, because if I labeled foods as good and bad, then I had morality tied to it. And that if I ate these bad things, that I was therefore a bad person. I was therefore a failure. And failure doesn't sit nicely with someone who is very high achieving and perfectionistic and all or nothing. And so when I then labeled myself as I ate a bite of this, I ruined my day, I am a failure, even one bite will throw all of my other good efforts out the window. And this is not happening consciously. May I tell you, this is kind of a subconscious process, and it just kind of shows up in the form of feeling really guilty and kind of feeling like panicked and anxious and then going to the pantry. Like that's how it shows up. But what was really happening was it's not perfect. Therefore, I am a failure. Therefore, my whole day is ruined. Therefore, I might as well just enjoy it while it's ruined. And then I would overindulge and almost punish myself by saying, okay, now that you ruined it, you need to feel even worse. So let's eat until the point of sickness. And then punishing myself with the further restriction, making up for it, trying to burn the calories off, all from just the fact that I believed that these sweets were bad. But what I had to learn was that when people say there are no good foods and bad foods, that might not really mean anything to you. But what I learned about that phrase is that what it means is that all foods have caloric content. So a cookie has carbs and fats and maybe a tiny bit of protein. And a chicken breast has protein. A sweet potato has carbs. Butter has fats. And I could eat the cookie and get the same amount of carbs, fats, and protein as if I put together sweet potato, avocado, and a little bit of chicken or something like that, right? Barely any chicken. Like I'm talking this much would make up for the protein that's in a cookie, but carbs and fats, like I could do that with either food source. But we label the avocado and the sweet potato as good, and we label the cookie as bad, when technically one is just more nutrient dense than the other. One has more fiber, nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and the other one holds different values. It holds carbs and fats, but it also gives us a dopamine hit, gives us joy or nostalgia or whatever we associate with cookies. And that's not a bad thing. It just is. And that is just the purpose that it serves is more social and emotional than nutrient and fuel based for our body. And those things can coexist without being good or bad. And so when I learned that I could have either, and I just had to make the choice of what is the priority for this moment? Is the priority to give myself some nostalgia, some joy through food, or is the priority to fuel my body? And when I brought it back to my values of how do I want to fuel myself and what is the purpose of food for me, I was able to better make those choices because at the end of the day, it was the same calories either way. I just had to make my pick for that day. And that pick for that day didn't have to be the pick for the whole week. And so I was able to learn how to bring in the sweets into my diet in a way where it didn't affect my progress. And I was able to have these things in moderation, Oreos, ice cream, cookies, whatever it was, and eat dessert every single day on purpose. And even the real thing, like not the diet dupe version, like the early protein ice creams that came out in 2013, 2012 were disgusting. Like RTX Zero, not that, like actual Oreos. And I would have dessert every single day and I was loving it. And I was eating more calories and I was actually seeing better fat loss, better muscle gain, more tone, and was feeling better than I ever had because most importantly, I was not in that loop over and over and over again. So, that is really the secret to sweets and just understanding that there are no good foods and bad foods. And the reason why we go into this cycle of self-sabotage is because we are overly perfectionistic. We're expecting perfection out of ourselves rather than just working the sweets in the first place. And just remembering that learning how to kind of live in that gray area, to allow yourself to have the sweets, to not have it be bad and to just have it be a part of your balanced diet is the way through. The obstacle is the way. And so telling yourself that you have no willpower, telling yourself that you can't is literally perpetuating the problem. And I encourage you to challenge that whole state of mind because it's not going to serve you in the long run. Because even if you lose the weight without eating any sweets, what are you going to do after? You're going to crave them. So work them in now so that you don't have to worry about the overindulging later. So if you like this training, I do have a step-by-step guide on how you can incorporate dessert into your diet every day and still see results and all the science and math behind all this. So if you want that, you can go ahead and just comment on the thread here or send me a message that you want the dessert everyday training, and I will go ahead and send it to you. It's totally free. So again, I would love any feedback that you guys have. I mean, this stuff is obviously really near and dear to my heart, but I don't even know how it lands, right? So a lot of times with this topic, I get more skepticism and I get to even break it down further. So if you have that, comment, send me a message. I would love to hear that and talk through it with you, or if this really benefited you and shared something that helped change your perspective, please let me know, because it just lets me know what to talk more about on these trainings. So that is all for today. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and I'll hope to see you back here next week.